Hello everyone, this is Varun Agarwal, editor at ETCIO, and I welcome you all to today's webinar brought to you by ETCIO in partnership with Tata Communications. Today's topic of discussion is transforming contact centers. The future lies in the cloud. Now, customer support needs to be easily accessible and quickly responsive today to generate powerful customer experiences. While the contact centers need to be nimble and agile, traditional setups can actually weigh you down, be it with capital and operational expenses, legacy technologies, infrastructure maintenance complexities, or even other troubles. Cloud, on the other hand, can significantly transform the contact center narrative today. Cloud-powered features deliver customers a plethora of options to reach out to support teams and find answers anytime and from anywhere. With this, contact centers are actually also spared from the complications of establishing on-premise infrastructure, maintaining the end-to-end technical environments, or even spending lump sum amounts on the initial setup itself. Plus, the cloud offers endless scalability and minimal downtimes, assuring business growth. So, the question is, where should you start your cloud contact center journey? And who should you really partner with? We'll answer some of those questions in our panel discussion today. But before we begin, let me remind you that each and every listener who's logged into this discussion today will win a special voucher. But all you have to do to actually win that voucher is to make sure that you're tuned into the discussion for at least 30 minutes and you fill in the feedback form at the end of the session. So without further ado, let me just introduce you to our speakers today. Our first panelist is Ankur Khetrapal, who is the Senior VP IT Infrastructure at InfoEdge India. Welcome, Mr. Khetrapal.
Hi, thanks. Thanks a lot.
Thanks. Our next panelist is Mr. G.D. Bhatnagar, who is the CIO at Greenlam Industries. Welcome, Mr. Bhatnagar. Next up, we have with us Ajay Khanna, who is the Vice President, VE Commercial Vehicles Limited. Welcome, Mr. Khanna.
Hello, everyone.
Hi. Our next panelist is Umesh Khandelwal, who is the CIO at Daikin. Welcome, Mr. Khandelwal. And finally, we also have with us Jayvelan S., who is the India Business Head and UC and Mobility at Tata Communications. Welcome, Jay.
Yeah, thanks, Varun. Good afternoon, everyone.
Very good afternoon. Jay, actually, let me just kickstart this conversation with you. You wanted to have some perspective thrown before we get into the panel discussion, so over to you now.
Absolutely. So I think you said it, Varun, clearly. When we are thinking about contact center, it is no more a contact center, right? So today, it has been called as a customer experience center. It has been known as a customer experience center. So contact center is kind of a conventional name, which has been moving to a name with customer experience market, right? So this is going to be about 650 billion market in the coming days, coming years. So everyone has got a play to it. But when it comes to customer experience, it is simply not as easy work we've been consuming or as we've been considering it, right? So when it comes to customer experience on contact center business, there are a couple of challenges any organization has to go through. Typically, they are customer challenges. How do we increase the customer satisfaction score? What channel I have to give that to the customer? And obviously, then comes to the process challenges. How do I optimize the current process in order to improvise it, better tag to the customer, better customer experience? Then comes the people challenges, which are like retaining the skills. Obviously, that's been a big issue at this point in time. Developing the leaders within the system and training them and developing them, right? So those are all the people-related skills. And lastly, but not leastly, the technology challenges. The technology challenges primarily talks about, I've already invested on some of the technologies. Those were conventional in nature, maybe in on-prem in nature. But when I have to be relevant, or when a company has to be competitive and relevant in the market that they operate, they have to actually scale up to the latest technologies, which helps them to stay relevant and competitive in the market. So how do I invest further when I already have an investment made on a technology which is still not giving my ROI, right? So those different multiple challenges is actually kind of a defining the market today, the customer experience market. And the answer lies in most of the challenges is actually moving into the cloudification part of it. When I say cloudification part of it, there are multiple aspects coming to it, right? How to cloudify it, how much to cloudify it, when to cloudify it, what to cloudify it, and what cloud to be adopted, right? There are many things will come into the pictures before actually one organization has to decide on the cloudification part of it or a cloud migration part of it. And that's where each individual organization is gonna differ from their perspective, because it goes with their business goals, business objective, what exactly the growth they are actually expecting, and what are the technologies that they already have, and what is that they need to include or implement, which is actually imparting that customer experience, right? And things like even the simplest things like coming out of the management burden, right? Today, everything getting managed on their own, but they are not able to spend or focus on their core business. So how this can be kept in a cloud with a reliant global leaders in this space as a service provider, be it the platform service provider or the service that actually managed services provider, and just focus on the core business, right? Be it manufacturing or any other industry for that matter. So that's one aspect of it. Then obviously they would like to reduce the data center footprint, right? How they actually optimize the cost and reduce the cost. Some of them actually looking at that, I've already invested such and such data center space, then let me move on to the cloud, and then so that I will save it here, right? So that's another angle. Automated update. When I say there are technology, I said, and there is technologies keep changing in the market. How do I actually ensure that I don't need to have a concern, or I don't need to spend on them technology upgrades every now and then, right? When I have an on-prem setup, I have to do all this. But if I move to cloud, there is an answer to it. I don't need to worry about it. Everything is taken care of it. Then the availability part of it, right? Availability part is that when I actually immediately scale it up during a season period on on-prem, I will have a limitations. I need to spend a huge amount. There could be integration challenges and so many other. But when it comes to cloud, there is an easy scale up and scale down is possible. So there is lot things we can discuss about cloud cloudifications of contact centers in today's call, Varun. But yeah, I will give it back to you. So we will listen it from the rest of the panelists as well.
So thanks, Jay, for putting things into perspective in terms of what cloud can really offer. Let's try and understand, take a step back and try and understand what are the challenges that organizations are really facing. So let me just bring in Mr. Ketapal. Mr. Ketapal, we've heard about the differentiation between cloud and on-premise setup. And in the past couple of years, we've seen contact centers really getting disrupted in a big way, especially because of the pandemic. What were the business challenges that you were faced with in the last couple of years, and do you think cloud is an answer to it?
No. So of course, yeah. So everybody was taken by surprise with this pandemic coming in, and we were also one of them. And we had no real strategy from a work from home, or so all of these people were stationed. Even the telecallers, which were sales or operations or support, all of these teams were stationed in office, and they were supposed to work out of office only. And we had desktops and completely dependent on networks and our premise. So we faced a huge challenge. We did all sorts of things. We explored quite a few things. We looked at the cloud. How quickly can we transition to cloud for us to be relevant and operational, at the same time not impacting business and customer experience. All of this put together, we did opt for a very little of cloud. We also went to the extent where we asked our users to carry their desktops, take them home, enable the Wi-Fi's and broadband plans for them, give them data cards, whatever was relevant, we did that. The voice over IP, over the internet, was definitely a challenge. So it was not really helping. So a lot of things had happened, and the cloud can come in, and the cloud can definitely make a difference. But again, it will be what kind of an infrastructure is in place. Because without the right infrastructure being in place and people getting the right bandwidth at the endpoint, and the customer connects, even the telephony network needs to be great for that, complete toll quality exchange. Now, during the last 1.5, 2 years, technology have evolved, solutions have evolved, the cloud has evolved, even the on-prem solutions have evolved. To the extent we went out and developed our own dialer solution in-house, completely based on Asterix. And we put 50% of our teams on that, using the best of state-of-the-art, latest technology, and using that to our benefit. Because even those businesses who are not on the dialer had to switch to dialer to be relevant and being able to connect to customers, not to lose that stickiness. So we've done all sorts of things. Our on-prem, we hosted on cloud. We opted for new cloud solutions, and we developed something new, and we looked at patching, where mobile patching solutions kicked in. So all of it put together, it was a huge kind of a scenario where we had to make some 2,000 people operational in a span of 15, 20 days on the contact center part. So that was quite a journey.
A lot of stitching together that you really had to do.
Oh yes, we had to, because nobody was prepared. Even for a collaboration platform, we had nothing. So we were just in the testing phase for Teams to be relevant. Zoom was picked up, Teams was there, and of course we went to Nolarity. We explored, Tubelight. We did a lot of things and a lot of permutation combination. But finally, in a span of 10, 15 days, we were able to make it happen. Yeah.
That's great. Mr. Anna, coming to you, Mr. Khetarwal talked about the kind of challenges that he faced. I'm assuming even your industry would be faced with similar challenges. The kind of solutions that came about and the number of solutions that came about, does that also become a challenge, managing different solutions and making sure everything's working in sync?
See, Varun, I think the challenges, everybody who was into a customer connect kind of engagement had faced the similar kind of challenges in terms of seeing whether the contact centers are able to get on with the calling scenarios, etc. So we also faced the same thing, but however, our entire contact center arrangement was outsourced. So our outsourced service provider was able to quickly spin this off and have their agents connect from their premises. Yes, the challenges of having the desktops or the last mile devices, I would call, was definitely there, and then they had to pick up those devices and then get onto their home. The most important factor which comes into picture is the data security and sanctity. So you need to be securing your data and information, whether you are on-premise or on cloud. On-premise, you're sure, because you do not allow, you have certain restrictions, you do not allow any kind of information to be carried out of the contact center, physical contact center. However, when it is in the cloud or it is working off-premise, you will need to look at all those arrangements, have those virtual desktops or virtual devices created so that the data cannot be taken off. So that's one challenge. The other challenges that are there, which are beyond the customer or beyond the call center, whether it is on the cloud or on premise, those are relevant to everybody in the industry today. So when you talk about people, they should be able to connect to your organization very quickly in the most effective manner. And most often it is not just the calling number, it is the app that you have, it is the connect or the chatbots that you have, which basically establish that connect with you. That is important. So we started enabling that over the last many years, and our objective is to ensure that we have enough channels to connect in. Because if you are talking about a reverse calling from a contact center, people are very averse to picking up calls which are unidentified calls. That's an area of concern for everybody today. And believe me, I'm sure that everybody would be getting hundreds of calls on a daily basis, which are spam or junk calls. And somewhere you are wanted to pick it up, but you cannot because of your engagement. So how do you get beyond this? How do you ensure that you skip this particular component, be it on the cloud or be it on premise? How do you establish that connect? So those channels need to be evolved. Those thought process need to be brought in. which will make it more effective, because effectiveness, if you look at it, effectiveness is going down. Your rating is going down, but you need to develop, evolve those innovative ways of connecting to the customer now, or the customer being able to connect to you.
So it's challenging even for the customer, because a lot of the trend is such that people don't want to call, but at the same time they want to be serviced the same way.
Yeah, if you look at Varun, I get a call for, I have 2 vehicles. I get numerous number of calls for service of my vehicle. It pisses me off really. And if this, I can understand it would be the same scenario for everybody. I would want to get connected to a customer, to a OEM organization at my own free will. I do not want them to call me up. So I need to have those kind of channels established. So we are working on those methodologies where we can establish those connects with the customer directly, and he can connect at its own free will instead of we forcing them to connect on.
Absolutely. Mr. Bhatnagar, if I can bring you in into this conversation, this omni-channel aspect becomes extremely important as we go forward, because like we discussed, not everyone's comfortable taking calls, and they just want customer experience agents to be available at their convenience, right? So how do you actually make sure that consistency of experience and making sure that your agents are also well trained in terms of the fluidity of the conversation? And does cloud in any way play a role in making this really happen?
Varun, yes, you are correct. And I think Jay and Mr. Khanna has very pinpointedly put up these challenges that even if you move to the cloud-based contact center solutions, these are the challenges and they will be there, and one has to basically think about that, how to address that. Now, if you see that the new age cloud-based contact center solutions are actually designed to help you get more out of your current investments and give you your team the right data and tools to provide a great customer service, because they are designed in a manner that whatever channels you have, whether your customer is coming through IVR, or he is coming through any of your websites or your social sites. So all these things are actually coming to a common platform. And whenever any customer is dialing in, the agent who is basically getting that call, he actually knows that, okay, what was the last touch point, whether it was a Facebook where he has contacted us, or whether it was a Twitter, or whether he has given a previous call. So I think this omni channels and a common platform is actually helping a lot. And I would say, because I have been using this through a cloud-based call center, that the new platforms are capable enough to handle these kind of things. Now, the second important part is that how to train the users. And I think this, as everybody has mentioned, this COVID situation has given us a real-time challenge for this, wherein our in an earlier situation, our agents were actually sitting with us. They were working along with our people, because we are into an industry where every week, every month, new designs are coming, new products are coming, and training them on that products is very, very important. So that was the biggest challenge for us. But again, we actually use the cloud technology on that, and we actually created a kind of a CDN network where we were able to push the data, the videos and everything through that to our agents, and we were able to coach them. We were able to enhance their knowledge so that they can address to the needs of the customer. So I would say that if we see today's contact center offering, most of the solutions offer a comprehensive solution with all the touch points: voice, chat, email, SMS, social, bot integrated over these kind of omni-channel platforms. So today it's not a challenge, if you ask me, as far as how to manage the contact centers and the overall processes. The most important thing which I feel is that how we can actually reduce the time of the you can say the first call resolution time, which is known as FCRs. That is more important. I think even in that, this digital or physical touch points, whatever you consider, so using the cloud-based technology are helping, and we are able to optimize them.
Thank you so much. Mr. Khandelwal, I think we've had a lot of interesting conversation around multiple channels for contact center. But how challenging is it to take the multiple channel journey to actual omni-channel and making sure that everything works really in sync? So if someone's contacting you on Facebook and later on call, there shouldn't be any gap there.
Yes, so Varun, I will start one thing, the customer experience, we were talking about customer experience, and the customer satisfaction is very important for our business. And that is the main criteria to work on this, contact center and improvement area. Initially, when we found it the major problem during COVID-1, wave 1 situation, the peak summer is coming up, on March, and the first wave came, and everybody was working from home. Then we got a major challenge how to connect because the call center was not running. It was not allowed to work. And, that kind of things, we thought we should have some kind of solution on that. So there are many challenges, but we came out with some challenges. We I would say that if you are moving, for a cloud contact center solution, it would influence by functionality of omni-channel and the view of customer and the building towards a centralized process for connect. Especially an ability to follow the customer's journey across different platforms like call, social media, or emails, etc., and generate the inside the action, right? And our assessment is that the contact center on cloud do have a potential to add business value beyond complaint handling, like a traditional call center, especially in upselling and reselling. And the capability of automation of client interaction through chatbots is also a big driver, along with the potential to ramp up and ramp down as per the seasonal requirement. So, these are the major things, but what we have done it, all the solutions are evaluated on the basis of best fit basis, and typically considering 3-5 years horizon, and based on the business case focus on either revenue improvement or cost savings, apart from the compliance requirement, right? And this is the heuristic of which we prioritize the new capabilities and the systems. And key parameters for shifting a cloud, including accessing to call volumes across channels and building a structure which showcase benefits from a move to a cloud center or contact center. Currently, because the season is started, we are getting, yesterday we got 13,000 calls. 13,000 calls, and I think upcoming months it is going to increase maybe 18,000 or 20,000 calls. And we have a limitation of our agents, right now 175 seaters only, but this is the area, we have to improve the challenge, how to handle. Maybe the calls are coming on different channels, we are accepting the calls. That, using some more technology and automation, will be capturing call. Maybe instead of calling on this toll-free number, the call center number, you can use the mobile app or website, or many channels are there, right? So that's an improvement. We are working on it. Yeah.
Thanks so much. Mr. Khan, coming back to the issue of security, we heard about security being a challenge when you're transforming your infrastructure, especially given that, it's a very recent phenomenon that people have started moving to the cloud. How challenging is it for any new cloud, any new contact center operator to actually make sure that security is up to mark?
It's a question to me or Mr.
Khanna?
So, Varun, if you look at from the perspective of securing it, from a technology perspective, the challenge is not there. I would say that because there are multiple approaches to that in terms of securing that. However, definitely it gives an increase in bump in the cost. every virtual desktop or a virtual client that you put up, it's an overhead additional add-on. If you consider that it is on premises, you have a desktop. So this is a desktop plus a virtual desktop, or a computing device plus a virtual desktop. So that's an add-on which is coming in. So it's just that the cost needs to be managed out. Otherwise, from a technology perspective, we've not seen that that's been a challenge at all.
In fact, there's also a question from the audience asking something related to this. The question goes, as hyperscalers have robust desktop as a service solutions, then what is the reason of not leveraging such solutions?
So you can imagine if you put up 5,000 call center agents or 2,000 call center agents with virtual desktops kind of a service, the kind of cost that you're going to be incurring as an add-on would be phenomenally high as compared to a classic model of approach. So that's only the challenge. Otherwise, from a technology perspective, as I said, technology is there, technology has been existing, and we've been using that. But it's been on-premise. We were able to do that. Once it gets onto the cloud, yes, we will have to look at it from overall cost optimization perspective.
Great. Jay, coming to you, we've heard about the reasons why anyone would want to move to the cloud, but there are also complications associated with the cloud, like we talked about cost and security related issues. How does one make sure that those issues are really addressed before you make that shift?
Absolutely, and it goes back to my the initial talk. Today, we know that cloud is the future. There is no second on it, right? So on-prem, we have actually invested, and we will have some more investment in the coming days just to see how we can actually manage on-prem, hybrid, and the cloud, right? But when we talk contact center, the customer experience market, the future is clearly cloud. But today, when we are actually talking about cloud, there are different industries into the cloudification aspect. We've seen the consumer durables or home appliances companies like Daikin. We have VE that we heard it from Ajay, and we also have got an internet company, right, InfoEdge. Each of them, there is no second thought when they have to focus on their customer experience. Customer experience critical for anybody to stay relevant and competitive, that needs to be given. But how much of cloudification that one has to focus at this point in time is actually differs business from business to business. For one, companies like born cloud companies, they will look at everything as a cloud. They don't need to wait that I will just have 30% I will cloudify now, then the remaining 70% I will do it in the midterm and long term. They don't. They will think everything as 100% cloud. And even today's, I've seen a couple of customers, they don't even want to keep the SBCs or the gateways in their offices. They just want to have a connectivity to their agents. Rest all has to be in cloud. So that's how they're actually looking. That's the one side of cloudification aspect. There are companies who doesn't need to be so tech savvy. They can manage only the customer management, customer relationship, customer experience aspect. They don't need to have a one full step cloud jumping. So they can wait, they can make, if they have an existing investment made on-prem, they can look at how much they can capitalize on that. They can still keep something as a hybrid model before they move into the 100% cloud, or maybe 30% cloud, 40% cloud, and depends on the business goals, right? So what they want to achieve in the mid-term, long-term, and what is the TCO that they can actually looking at the ROI aspect, multiple other aspects coming in. And when we interact with multiple large enterprises and even a couple of our partner organizations and even the largest telcos, even the largest SI companies, the cloud aspiration is always there. I could say that the data points, analyst data point is also say that 94% of the enterprises, not only in India, but globally, they are into cloudifications, right? They are actually moving towards cloud. So when we said cloud is the future for contact center, it is absolute true. But the percentage of cloudifications ranges from company to company, varies from company to company. I'll just go back to one word that I heard it from Ankur on the And during the pandemic, how we actually manage that voice telephony, right? So that's a typical one. For many companies, when it comes to calling, right, the rest of the business can be managed whether on-prem or in the remote. We have multiple different working scenarios, right? Working from office, working from home, hybrid working from anywhere. So many things that we have today's nomenclature. So, but whatever the working model, but when it comes to voice, and specifically India kind of a market, the technology plays one part of it, but equally the regulatory and compliance is actually playing the second part of it. You cannot just handle the voice how you actually handled the voice in the on-prem, in the work from home scenario, right? So you need to comply to the law of the land. You cannot have the inbound PSTN call coming and landing onto your internet. That's not allowed. That's exactly what we heard it from Ankur now, right? And we heard it from Umesh as well. The point is that technical aspect is one, and then second, you need to comply to your regulatory or law of the land as well. And a couple of other aspects, like I mentioned, that customer experience is obviously comes with the user experience as well. If I'm not enabling my agent efficiency in a better scale, if I'm not giving the best technology to the agent, he's capable of actually ensuring that customer experience for the organization, right? Those are all the things matters. Like we heard it from I think from Ajay only. I don't want to get a repeated call from my service provider just to remind me that your service is due, right? I don't like that. I think many of us don't like it, right? Prompting us, pushing us to service consumptions. That's not the way. We should make an efficient and effective way to do it. And similarly, on a call, on a particular call, and that's where the customer experience getting defined. How do I actually reduce that 10-second average call holding time, right? If I save 10 seconds for my customer on a call, and if I give that first call resolutions that we heard it from Bhatnagar, it's all matters, right? So that's many other factors coming into it. And when I say contact center, it's not a single application. It's just an ecosystem where multiple functional applications coming and actually working together in joint sign. And it definitely varies organization to organization. There are multiple factors defining it. Back to you, Varun.
Thanks, Jay. Mr. Kethabal actually talked about developing new applications to address some of the challenges that his organization was facing. Let me just try and understand. You also have a lot of legacy applications that you would still be working on. When it comes to moving to the cloud, how challenging does that get? Working with these new age applications, these legacy applications, moving some of it to the cloud and figuring out what to do with the rest.
So from a business standpoint, we largely build for cloud. So we are a completely open source company, and we like to build for the cloud. And all our applications which are in-house developed, or we are adopting whatever we are adopting, is from a cloud perspective, cloud standpoint only. Now, while I was listening to quite a few inputs from the members, the point is what I was thinking and trying to correlate how can this be better understood. This is like economies to scale and scale of economies. If you have to really put it in different perspectives, every size will have a different every business size, organization and budgets will define. If it's a small business, it can quickly jump onto the cloud. Let's say 5 agents, 10 agents, 15 agents, 50 agents. It's easier to jump onto the cloud and create a model, create a sustainable model. But once the numbers start going up and the cost starts ballooning for each agent, each endpoint, that is where the problem starts to creep in. Your customer acquisition and customer experiences, all this put together with the cloud technology, the cost just goes beyond control. So it depends with what kind of a service. If it's a sales oriented function, you can always correlate that part with revenue. But what if it's a support function? What if it is only operations and trying to do a service call? Now all of that going to cloud will dent you on your bottom line. Now, net, all of it put together, what makes more sense for you will be the model. And that is why what we did, we analyzed quite a lot of things. And we are looking at moving things onto our cloud. Now, cloud is only a notional way of looking at things. Even my data center is cloud. Anything which is available on the internet is cloud. Now, do you want to outsource a service and pick up a software as a service? Is what you're talking of right now. Now, the idea is that If I can publish my service and make it available on the cloud and use the telephony network on a mobile to mobile patch in a toll quality using my infrastructure, is the cloud platform that supports my business with the minimum cost that I have to put in and best experience both sides, even the customer and the agent. Both are talking to each other, and my application is integrated with the solution, which gives the CRM to them to look into the customer needs. So this is what we did in the last 2 years. We built an in-house system, which was doing a mobile to mobile patch. Now we did not want soft phones. So we converted endpoint agents, their mobile phones into endpoint agents. They connect on toll quality. So there's a two-way call which is patched from our premise, one to the agent and then to the customer. And on that, they talk on a toll quality and they have access to the CRM system. Now we do it in-house. And that helps the business because the times were so tough. We never knew what the revenues would be like. We never knew what's going to happen. So we were the emphasis was save cost, do not spend anything, make sure that you are delivering. So it was so tightrope. We had to work that, and thankfully we were able to achieve that. So that's how we kind of, we've learned a lot in the last 2 years. IT, I think, has been the best beneficiary, and making it happen for businesses, and business also realized IT kuch karta hai. I think that has been the story. Yeah, so we've got a lot of mileage also. I think it's been a good journey, and we've learned a lot. We've really scaled up our solution. Otherwise, we were very happy. PRI hai, CTI, DB chal raha hai. Everything just happening, and whatever the costs were there, the pressure came back and said, cost kam karo, business should work as it is, and you need to make sure things are up, lights are on. They cannot go out. So we were on our toes. But whatever we've done, I think it'll repay for the next 4-5 years at least, what we've done in the last 2 years. I think that's the net debt.
So the scale that you are operating, you feel that it makes more sense to do it internally instead of going to a third-party cloud. So you've done your own private cloud.
Being an Indian MNC, yes. Being an Indian MNC, we earn in rupees and spend in rupees. We don't earn in dollars and spend in rupees. We don't do that. So in our situation, when you earn in rupee and you have to spend in rupee, then you have to really work that math. So it's very important. Yeah.
Mr. Bhatnagar, coming to you, it's a great point that Mr. Ketapal talked about the economies of scale and the scale of economies. At what point does it really make sense to actually start outsourcing to a third-party cloud vendor in terms of not just cloud, but also other aspects that we just talked about?
Varun, I think Mr. Ketapal has made a very valid point that it also depends upon the size of the business and what sort of business you are into. So typically, if and he made a very valid point that if you are just having 5 to 50 agents, you are tend to have a cloud-based system, because when you do a maths, you will find that the cloud-based solution is giving you the right economy, and I think in our case also that was the point. But at the same time, as Jay has mentioned, that it is just not the calling functionality, it is all other applications also which are actually working along with the call center has to be seen in totality. So if you ask me, it is just not only a question of whether you want to use a cloud-based contact center or not. You have to have a complete strategy for your entire ecosystem, that how you would like to operate. And I think in our case also, because the challenge was initially that we were having a lot of things on premise, and when this COVID things started happening, we were actually forced to have you can say a very quick solution for moving our contact center, because people were not allowed to work in our premises. So we have to run the show. So we moved out to the cloud, but at the same time, we also picked up a strategy where we said that, okay, whatever our customer facing applications, like our CRM was there, our lead management system was there, our complaint handling system was there, our warranty management system was there. So we took all of them onto the cloud. And what Mr. Shitpal also mentioned here, that it is also today, it is just not that when you are talking about cloud, it is SaaS. It is actually a mix of SaaS and your own infrastructure as a private cloud. So we actually built a hybrid system where in a lot of things we actually are running on our own infrastructure in a cloud-based environment. And we took a SaaS-based contact center thing and integrated it with our own systems, placed at a common place where we purposefully chose a service provider who was also having health services at the same service provider where we have actually having our managed hosting services. So that has actually helped us in even the integration and other things. So in my view, one has to have a very clear strategy when thinking of a cloud-based customer experience center, that what all applications they want to take there, what all applications they still want to keep on premise, and have a complete view in that manner, and have a complete economy around that.
I think you're right. It's important to really spell it out when you talk about cloud. Are you talking about infrastructure as a service or software as a service? Because infrastructure as a service, depending on the scale, it may or may not work out to go to a third party. But when it comes to software as a service, it's more about the capabilities that you want to bring in. So that's where the third party really plays a big role. So coming to Mr. Khandelwal, Mr. Khandelwal, we've heard about one aspect of the contact center, which is about training the agents. Really, when you're actually looking at an omni-channel approach, when you're looking at working with new kind of applications that have been deployed, how challenging is it to actually make sure that these agents, some of whom might be working remotely still, are actually trained in the correct manner?
See, training is not a one-time activity. It's a keep on. We have to. That's our strategy. We are keep on arranging a training, because every time agents are also changing. So this is going to impact our center. So
let me correct my question. So what I wanted to understand is, how do you make sure that the agent experience is also good in terms of what they are working on? So that also kind of helps in picking up the new things that you want to work on.
Sorry, I couldn't understand your question. Agents, can you repeat? I missed out your call.
So when we talk about experience, it's usually customer experience, but employee or agent experience is also an important aspect when you look at any new solution. So how important is it in your strategy?
See, employee or the agent experience it is always scope for the improvement. However, we with the integration of CRM, we are on SAP C4C. We do have a right information available even now for the agent and provide the right input for the customer. As I mentioned, we are on SAP C4C, cloud for customer. That is also on cloud only. That's on private cloud, not on a public cloud. It does support native cloud integration. Therefore, a cloud-based contact center is a good fit for this particular case.
Sure. Great. Thanks, Mr. Khandelwal. Jay, coming back to you, we've heard some of the issues and opinions around whether or not you really need a third-party cloud provider. What is your opinion when we talk about different scales that different companies are operating at?
Absolutely. and we heard Ankur as well, right? So the company is earning in Indian currency and has to spend in Indian currency. And there are multiple other ecosystems within the India market as well as the global market. When it comes to whether the third-party cloud service provider is good for the business, good for the individual organization. So the criteria is actually a couple of points. One, obviously, how critical the customer experience for that particular business. And if that is very critical, then what are the technologies they are actually deploying from their side? I'm not coming to the on-prem or the cloud part of it, but what technology they are actually implementing to ensure that customer experience getting extended by enabling that user experience, employee experience, agent experience, whatever it is. So now, when we decided the technology aspect of it, whether are we good in managing it from our own IT resources, or is it good to outsource it to a third-party service provider? How do we actually manage the life cycle of the platform or the services and technology as well, right? It is not about deploying and buying and deploying it, right? We also need to ensure that the life cycle management of the platform and the technology solutions needs to be ensured for a consistent and constant customer experience. These are all the couple of factors which is actually forcing or at least deciding whether to go with cloud, third-party service provider, or stay with the on-prem technology. If there is, and I'll take a couple of examples as well. So there are the largest global IT companies, right? It is not that they don't have an expertise, right? So they have a lot of certified individual for each of the practices that they have got. Multiple OEMs today available in the market, and for each of the multiple OEMs, they have a certified individual. They spend a lot of huge amount in terms of developing and training them to keep them just to manage the ecosystem in place. But they are also looking at cloud, maybe from the rest of the factor perspective, right? If it is an on-prem for a seasonal requirement of their end client, maybe during the Christmas, I would like to add additional 1,000 seats. Would I be in a position to do it in November and then be live in December? Then after January, I don't need the 1,000 lights and I need to scale it down. How do I do it, right? If I have to do it on-prem or if I have to do it on my own, what is the cost that I will spend up for that? That actually differentiate the cloud offering service than on-prem offering. And the other aspect, right? So compliance aspect. So today I'm actually addressing an end consumer, which is a banking customer. So tomorrow I will be addressing another industry. There are multiple different industries and one has to address it. And for each industry, there is a compliant requirement, right? There is if HIPAA compliant, there is multiple similar compliant, right? So am I going to get that all the compliance requirement from the respective regulatory bodies for my own platform? Am I going to do it all from my side, or is it better to outsource it with third party data? I think these are all a couple of factors one has to apply in his business plan or the strategy to decide whether staying with on-prem is good or going to the cloud. But largely, as we all know that there is already a data point, global analyst, the leading analysts are actually saying that 94% enterprises globally are already integrated, if not 100%, at least some part of the technology they are already moved into cloud. It is not about overall technology. It can be even as one single applications can be in cloud, right? Basis the need, basis the business demand, and so on and so forth. I think these are all the aspects one has to look at in terms of defining whether to go for a third-party cloud vendor. Varun.
Thanks, Jay. There's a question coming in from the audience, a very basic question, and I think important still, which asks about how do you really analyze an agent's effectiveness when you're outsourcing your contact center operations, or at least a part of it?
Absolutely. I think that's a good question. And in fact, I want to cover all this, and this is a little technical aspect of it, right? Today, and I don't want to take an example and consume time around it. Conventionally, in the past, when we actually consume the support from the service provider, it is not as great, right? We need to have a lot of patience. We need to wait. Sometimes we don't get what we want, but we still need to live with it, right? Today, so customer experience defining the business growth. And in that sense, if the technology or the business is not actually supporting that for the agents to deliver to the end consumer or the customer experience that is needed, then it will be very difficult. For an agent, assuming that I am an agent, I have a technology which is not actually helping to enable that. Wherein before even the call comes to me, there are a lot of treatment we can do. Maybe starting from IVR, we can give the self portal. I know before the call comes to me, I can actually even greet the person, hi Varun, this is your current latest interaction with us, and this is what the last resolution we extended to you. Then how are you feeling, then what is that you're looking for? That's a different experience, right? To do that, we need to have a technology, right? Without the technology, you will not have all the data coming to you and then sitting in front of your screen when I'm talking to Varun. That's the one part of it. And then also, how do I save agents' time? Because agent is the most important and critical resource in an organization when it comes to contact center. How do I save time and how do I improve the efficiency of an agent for the organization, also for the better customer experience, right? I can involve a lot of AI technologies, self-services, right? We all know, right? When we're actually getting into the bank, we don't get directly talking to the bank unless otherwise we be HNI, high net worth individuals, and where we have an option of going with that, right? When we also deliver such technology from Tata.com to the banking industries, but we will get that if you need to know the balance, press this, and then a lot of automation is already enabled into the system before the call actually hits the agent, so that most of the points is being enabled for the consumer before even it comes to the agent. By the time it reaches the agent, agents knows all the transactions, what customer is already done on the call, and then he knows that why customer with us, and then the first resolution call or the first call resolution that we actually got to know from Bhatnagar is most important. And then obviously the technology also enables how do I reduce the customer on hold, right? Many a times we thought, can I put you on a hold and then call hold and go for a minutes together, right? Rather than putting that, if all the intelligence into the system is inbuilt, so that agent is enabled to deliver what customer actually looking for in an instant manner, right? So those are all the things how technology plays a vital role in terms of enabling an agent. And agent efficiency is one of the defining factor for the customer experience, and then customer experience is the defining factor for the business growth.
Thanks so much, Jay, for that perspective. And with that, we've actually come to the end of the session. I would really like to thank everyone for really joining in and sharing your valuable opinion on the session. In case you missed out on some part of the discussion, the recorded session would be available online in the next 24 to 48 hours. So you're always welcome to come back and listen in again. And with that, thank you so much once again for joining in. Stay connected for more such sessions and stay safe. Thank you.